Good morning, happy Friday, and welcome to Sick Call. This week we're discussing all things Army nursing. To join us in the discussion, we have First Lieutenant Philip Leyshon with us. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Thank you.
Morning.
So, sir, nurses are truly the heartbeat of healthcare. What was your call to arms, per se?
Sure. So mine wasn't the traditional call to arms. When I first joined, I joined in 2006, about 2 months after I graduated high school. My first duty title or job in the Army was a 68 Papa, MOS, or radiology specialist. I did that for about 9 years, and then I transitioned over to the nursing program through a program the Army has for enlisted soldiers called Army Enlisted Commissioning Program. I attended Austin P State University in Clarksville, Tennessee, right outside of Fort Campbell. Upon completion of there, I went to the Basic Officer Leadership course at San Antonio, Texas. And my first duty station as a nurse was Fort Gordon, and I worked at the hospital there on the cardiac ward. That's where I got my start. And then I decided to become an emergency room nurse, where the Army will send you for about 6 months back to San Antonio to practice at the only level 1 trauma center the military has at Joint Base San Antonio. It's called SAMC, or San Antonio Medical Center, where I did 3 months didactic in the classroom and then 3 months there in the trauma center, working with, civilians, military. And then upon graduation of that course, went on to I work at Madigan Army Medical Center at Joint Base Lewis McChord here near Tacoma, Washington.
So with the AECP program, sir, were you identified, or you and your peers, were you identified for different types of nursing as you came out of the program, and then they moved you on to specific training, or did everybody graduate as hotels med-surg nurses?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for AECP, you will graduate from your respective nursing program upon completion of the NCLEX. Once you finish BOLIC, you're subjected to the AOC of 66 Hotel, or a med-surg nurse. Now, med-surg is very broad. You can work on a traditional med-surg ward, or you can work, I worked on a cardiac ward. We did see med-surg patients, but we also saw a little bit of higher acuity patients. We've seen some hotels, they've actually gotten the chance to work in emergency departments, but as far as getting the identifier of Tango or Sierra critical care nursing or emergency room nursing, you do have to go to that follow-on ASI skill identifier school at Fort Sam Houston. But to answer your question, in the short term, yes, when you graduate, you will become a med-surg nurse.
Awesome.
Sir, what excites you most about nursing?
Oh man, Army nursing specifically is it's the best. I mean, some days when you wake up, it's just like being a civilian. You'll go to your respective hospital, you'll work your typical 12-hour shift. Typically it can be 7:07 in the morning till about 1900 at night, or if you're on the night shift or swing shift, it could be different. But what excites me is the unpredictability sometimes, especially in the times that we're in now with COVID. The unit that I support, the 47th Combat Support Hospital here at JBLM, we are a couple of my counterparts, ICU nurses. They just came back from Guam. They put them up in a sweet hotel. They were helping out the local nationals there in Guam at their civilian hospitals, backfilling, per se, with COVID help. And they got about 3 days notice to do that. And the pictures that I saw, I was pretty jealous. They were staying right on the beach and kind of just working as their traditional ICU, skill set that they learned in that concept. But that's what excites me the most, is you just never know, day to day. Traditionally you will be a nurse and you will do that typically, 12 hours in the hospital, just like you would as a civilian or anything else. But also that chance to help, other local populations as well, and getting to see different parts of the world.
So, sir, you said it. You said, COVID, Army life, all of that. What does Army life look like for you as a nurse?
Yeah, so definitely with COVID, it's changed a lot, I think, for everybody. Like we're all at home doing this live chat instead of in person. That's what a lot of it's going to. But as far as nursing goes, we're really, readiness is a big thing for us to be able to, help out around the world with, or even the United States. I think we saw, was it back in May, Seattle here, my unit activated and moved their whole combat support hospital personnel up to a staging center at the stadium, and we're able to help out the local hospitals here, backfilling them and taking patients to help alleviate the stress on the ICUs and the emergency departments here locally in Seattle. Same thing was happening in Texas. San Antonio, we backfilled them, and then down by the border of Texas and Mexico, I have a couple buddies who just got back from there. It's been a really high op tempo, but it's been a great op tempo. This is only the United States Army Nursing, and it's the only place you're going to get these kind of things where you're able to do that and go help out the civilian population or even the military population as far as COVID goes right now.
So, sir, why would you encourage nurses to look no further than the Army nursing as their next career choice?
Yeah, that's a good question. So coming in, whether you're coming in from the civilian sector and you've already worked as a emergency room nurse, ICU nurse, PACU, whatever it is, or even if you're on the enlisted side and you decide to do AECP, Army nursing is traditionally, and I might be biased a little bit. I haven't worked in the other branches, but I have worked with other branches, and I can tell you that the Army nurses are very highly skilled, not more than our counterparts, but we're right there with our civilian counterparts. The Army will send you to school. The Army offers bonuses. I think today I just took another course, the emergency nursing pediatric care course. I think traditionally, probably as a civilian, that might cost hundreds of dollars. The Army say, hey, take you off the schedule, go to this course. If you get your certifications, such as for emergency nursing, we take the certified emergency nursing exam. You'll get reimbursed for that. So there's a lot of good assets the Army has that are available to you.
So with that, can you kind of expand a little bit further about the education piece? Because you're kind of hitting on things like testing and all of that, but how about just advancement opportunities with the education or just in general for nurses?
Mm-hmm. So I'll hit on education first. That's a great point. Wow. So the Army has a program specifically for nurses. It's called LTHAT. It's an acronym for Long-Term Health Education Training. It's where they'll send you back to grad school. And we all know that, grad school is a very broad term, right? So whether you want to do nursing informatics, you can go back to get your advanced practice degree. The Army pays for 100% of it. When I say advanced practice, I mean like certified registered nurse anesthetist or family nurse practitioner, or you can do nurse leadership. So the Army will pay you. Typically, you'll be a captain at this point. The Army will keep you on active duty for about 2 years while you go to school, and then you'll incur an active duty service obligation after that, and you'll obtain your graduate degree or your master's degree at no cost to you. The Army pays for 100% of it while you get paid to go to school. I don't know any other organizations that will offer that. That's a pretty sweet deal, and myself included. I think I'll take advantage of it.
So, sir, families in the Army, how do they work?
Oh, yeah, great question. So the Army is huge. I've been in for about 14 years now, so I've seen the Army evolve for over these last 14 years. And the family to the Army is sometimes it feels like they put your family over you. They're always there for them. Whether you're moving from a new duty station, they make sure that your family has everything, and you have everything that you need to move to that new duty station. If you decide to live on post or on base, there's so many facilities for if you have children. There's the most beautiful playgrounds. There's, for instance, we live here in Fort Lewis or Joint Base Lewis McChord, and they have there's boats and fishing and just so much stuff that the Army has available to us. You can rent RVs, just like any versus other jobs. I feel like the Army really takes care of your family, and I've never felt that down. That's for sure.
There are things that we oftentimes kind of overlook when we are service members. So when we start talking about some of the benefits that we have when it comes to life insurance, when it comes to health insurance, eyes, vision, all of those kind of things, some of those things are worth more than just the job and the experience itself, if you will. So, and I'm sure that's a big thing for families as a whole. And every one of us on here are shaking our head because we totally understand that. It's definitely a big piece of it. So if you're interested, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to us, social media, telephone, whatever you prefer, so that we can kind of explain some of those intangible benefits to you as well. So, sir, we touched on the Army Enlisted Commissioning Program. It's truly one of the best programs, and I can't even say best kept, because within the force, it's common. Everybody knows. So when we start talking about the Enlisted Commissioning Program, how did you come about it? What made you decide to apply?
Yeah, sure. So my initial, what I was planning on doing was Green to Gold, which is another big program the Army has, but it didn't guarantee me to become an Army nurse. So Green to Gold, typically you ranked against your peers, and then you would go into a different branch. But I can still remember I was at Fort Rucker, Alabama, in the gym, and a buddy called me and he said, "Hey, have you ever checked out this Army Enlisted Commissioning Program?" This is, I think, 2012. I said, "No, I've never heard of it." And then I started researching it, and I think it was, like you said, it's the best thing available, at least for enlisted soldiers that want to become nurses. It's a very highly selective program. I believe that they still only accept about 50 people per year, and I'm not sure how many applicants they get. The packet is pretty intensive, but reading the guidelines and getting everything together, I still think almost every day that I'm so thankful that I did it. It's probably the best thing that I've ever done in my career. And I think my family would support me by saying, "Yeah, Phil, that's true."
That's good. And with that program, what folks don't necessarily think of when they're trying to go through it, because they think they have to do this on their own, and they don't. That's what we're here for. We're recruiters. We're healthcare recruiters. Our job is to help you put these packets together. But sir, with your packet, did you do it yourself, or did you have the assistance of a recruiter?
Yeah, so like they did now. My year was the first year that an AMED recruiter, you had to have your packet go through an AMED recruiter. And I think they kind of took that away from the actual applicant for a period of time. And I think they're giving it back to the AMED recruiters, which I think is the best decision that USAREC has made in a long time, because the questions sometimes weren't answered, or maybe the OIC of the program was a little overwhelmed with over hundreds of packet questions. And that's what you guys are here for as AMED recruiters, is that, it's a small piece of the pie, the AECP program for you guys, but you guys are a great asset for applicants that might have questions. And that's for those applicants that can reach out to you guys and get those questions answered. But yeah, I think it's great that AMED recruiters were brought back into the picture, because I think there was a lot of unanswered questions or incomplete packets that were getting sent up that weren't quality controlled enough, only by the individual that was sending it up. And I think it's a great thing that you guys are able to get eyes on before it actually goes in front of a board.
And that's truly a big thing, because a lot of folks kind of get that anxiety, as you rightfully should, because it's a review panel, just like those students that are going through medical school have to go through the medical school board. The AECP process is very much the same. So if you have questions or you're looking at considering doing this, just reach out to your local AMED recruiter, the healthcare recruiting team near you, and we'll help you with those packets. So sir, kind of closing things up a little bit, is there anything else that we missed or that you'd really like to highlight to kind of tell folks why Army nursing is where it's at?
Yeah, sure. So, oh man, the Army, to close it up, I think the best thing that applicants can do, for whether it's if they want to become a nurse through AECP, the Army Enlisted Commissioning Program, or if you have some applicants who are already working on the economy as a civilian nurse and decide that, hey, maybe the Army, with all the benefits like we spoke about before, the healthcare benefits, the education benefits, and the benefits for their spouse or their significant other and their family, come talk to you guys. You guys are the bread and butter of our military or our armed services. And I think even if it's just to get some information, you guys have it, and you'll put them in the right place. Even I'll make myself available, and I have friends that'll be available as well. You guys know you have my contact information. The applicants that speak to you guys, they can call me. Sergeant Cube has my phone number. He can reach out, and I'd be more than willing to talk to any of your applicants to try to help them through the process, even if it's not a nurse, whether it's, if you got any occupational therapy, anything like that. I have a lot of assets around me that they can speak to them as well. So don't be afraid to speak to a recruiter. Talk to them, get in the office, call them on the phone. I think email, whatever you have to do, get in their the wheelhouse and get the ball rolling, at least get some information. I think it's one of the best things you'll ever do.
We appreciate your time, sir, and thank you for your support.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. And thank you for being with us today. Nursing is a very important profession, and it's vital to success of the Army.
I agree.
So with that, this wraps up our show for today. Thank you to our viewers for tuning in with us live. As always, we welcome your questions. You can comment below on any of our other social media platforms. We hope everyone has a happy, healthy, and safe weekend, and we look forward to seeing you again next Friday at 10 a.m. here on Sick Call. Bye.
Bye.